Welcome back to Love Daniela, episode 5. Today we're going to dive into what it's like moving to a new city alone and how uncomfortable but also so freeing it can feel. So we're going to dive into that. I also want to talk a little bit about Austin. I know a lot of people come visit Austin. A lot of people I've gotten DMs of saying like, what are your pros and cons? Do you like living there? Do you want to stay there? All of that. So I kind of want to dive a little bit deeper into that. First, we're going to start off with my highs and my lows. My high was last night. I opened a wine bottle by myself for the first time ever. And that's kind of crazy, me being a 26-year-old girl that drinks wine. But I always get a twist off wine. Like I always do. And I don't think I've ever properly opened a wine bottle by myself. I always make someone else, whoever's with me, do it. But last night I just wanted to have a glass of wine before I went to bed. I haven't done that in a really long time, and I wanted to treat myself, and I had a really great glass of wine from Italy. It was Moscato. So good. So that's my high. And my low is I've had no Wi-Fi all week. That's why last week's episode didn't go up until 11 p.m. It's because I had to use my phone as a hotspot to get it up, and it was the worst. I have no data anymore, but I finally got it fixed. Me and Spectrum were beefing for the week. I posted and they were like, hello. I was like, me and Spectrum are beefing on my Instagram story. They didn't like that. But yeah, so those are my highs and my lows. Make them short and sweet. So let's dive into what it's like moving to a new city and also what I expected to what actually happened. So my big thing, I lived in LA for 2 years. I know a lot of people love LA. Me, I am a bit of an LA hater when it comes to living there. I think it's a beautiful place to visit. There's a lot of opportunity there in the influencer space, and there's beaches and mountains and hikes. There is a lot of good in LA, but the biggest thing for me in a city is the people, and I always found it very, very hard to meet genuine people. And I know a lot of people are like, LA is what you make it, or who you surround yourself with. But now I have somewhere else to compare it to. And obviously I was hanging out in the influencer space, that's what I did for a living. And so it was very easy to meet other influencers and connect with other people that did fashion content and stuff like that. And I always felt like they just weren't my type of people. It felt very superficial and surface level connection. And I just crave more intimate connections and friendships. And I met a few there. I go back and I see those few, but I didn't have a big group of friends there, and I really thought that I was broken. I was like, okay, so I'm really bad at making friends in my adult life because, it was right after quarantine. So I had already been kind of secluded for a year, and then I moved out to LA, and I was like, okay, so this is a me problem. So it's something that I need to fix. And so I tried to constantly work on it, and really, I forced a lot of connection. If someone was nice, I was like, okay, well, they're nice and they're not fame hungry and here for the wrong reasons. So I should like them. And that's not how connection works. I feel like I was constantly, the bar was on the ground when it came to friendships where I'm like, okay, they're nice, perfect. And you connect on a deeper level with friendships and you want to have something in common or something to talk about. But sometimes I was hanging out with these people where I'm like, we really, if I was in any other city, I don't feel like we would mesh. We wouldn't hang out. It's not like I would not like them. It's just you'd be someone that I would see in passing. We'd hang out in a group setting, but it's not someone that I would hang out with consistently just because we don't vibe like that. And that is okay. So that was kind of what I didn't like about LA. But now when I get to go to my favorite restaurants, see my boyfriend, see the friends that I want to see, because I feel like everyone in LA is constantly traveling. So I try to align it with the friends that I do want to see out there, and I enjoy it every time I go. I think that it's an amazing place to visit, but I did ruin it for myself probably the first 6 months once I moved to Austin. LA, I was this I ruined the glamour of LA, because when I used to visit before I lived there, I was like, this is the coolest place ever. And I felt like I knew it too well when I would visit. I'm like, oh, great. I know all these stomping grounds. And now I feel like it's gotten the glamour back for me because it's been a year and probably 4 months, 5 months. So it's been a good chunk of time. So now I can appreciate it for a vacation spot, a visiting spot, you know? But what I thought was going to happen when I moved to Austin was like, I'm going to move here. I'm going to make so many friends. This is probably where I'm going to settle down. And I was absolutely shocked by like, it wasn't just like snap my fingers and like everything changed. I feel like I had to do a lot of internal work, especially just with how jaded I felt after LA, where people here like, you know, smile at you in grocery stores and people want to make conversation, and there's not always like, oh, this person's trying to talk to you to get to someone else. And so it definitely was hard when I got here to kind of like get back to my roots of like, okay, this is normal life and, you know, there's nice people out there. But it was hard when I first moved here. I was so lonely because I went from being in LA, as much as I was lonely in the friend department, I at least had my boyfriend living there. And so anytime I wanted to do something or try a new restaurant, it was always with my boyfriend. Like I just, you know, always had him there. And now I decided, let's do long distance. I can't do LA anymore. And I felt like when I moved here the first 6 months, I was like, what did I do? I just moved my whole life across country. I'm miserable. Now I don't have friends or my boyfriend around. And I was a mess. I was in shambles. I fell into a depression. I was crying every day. I was like, okay, so what is home for me? Because LA didn't feel like home. Here doesn't feel like home. And so I was really sad for a long time. And I feel like things didn't start turning around until I started like being like, no, this isn't the life you want to be living. You have to give this place a fair shot, put yourself out there. Because I lived in Austin when I was 18. From 18 till 21, I lived in Austin for 3 years. And I loved it here. I had such great friends here, but most of those friends don't live here anymore. And so when I moved here, it was kind of like a fresh start. And the friends that did still live here, I kind of like lost connection with, like we didn't really speak. And so I was like, what did I get myself into? I moved to a new city, not knowing anyone. What did I expect? But I started putting myself out there. I started like looking up like Austin influencers and like what to do in Austin. And I just started DMing people and being like, hey, like you seem like such my vibe, would love to hang out. And that was really hard. It felt like first dates. He would go and hang out, and most of the time I feel like I was like, oh my gosh, I love these people. Sometimes it didn't groove, and that's okay. It's still like, oh my god, cool, like we're acquaintances, like we're friends. When I see them out, it's like great. But I put myself out there a lot, and when I started doing that, I started meeting my people, and I started going to influencer events by myself, which was so hard for me to do because from a girl with social anxiety, I really never thought I could go to like events by myself. I'm like, okay, if I get invited and I can't bring a plus one, or I don't have anyone to go with me, because most of the people that I was meeting here had normal 9 to 5s, and influencer events are always at like really weird times. It's like 4 o'clock on a weekday. So I would always turn them down when I first moved here. And I remember my first event, I was like, I'm going to go to it by myself and I just have to. And it was super scary, but I think with social anxiety, anyone that deals with social anxiety knows that it's the thoughts before and it's the feeling before. It's not actually going. Once you go, you realize that it was like you worked yourself up in your head. And I was like constantly like, well, if I go, I'm just going to sit in the corner. I'm not going to have anyone to talk to. I'm going to be so awkward. It's just going to be weird. I'm going to feel trapped. Like I just got there. I can't leave. That's disrespectful to the brand. And so I constantly worked myself up. And one day I was like, I just have to do it. I had such like crippling anxiety before I went. I Ubered there, which like I hate Ubering by myself too. So that was another hurdle I had to go over. And once I got there, I was just like, turn it on. And I just started talking to people and really trying to get out of my comfort zone. And that one event has now made me so comfortable to go to any influencer event I get invited to in Austin that I'm available for, I will go to. I always meet new people and I make new friends. I get to see like the brand. It's so cool. That's like honestly one of my favorite parts of the job is meeting the people in the team behind the brand and kind of like just getting a sense for who you're communicating with when you're doing these collaborations and brand deals and partnerships. You're just talking behind a keyboard. You really never get to see like who these people are. And so influencer events are so fun to me because you get to see the team behind who's building this brand. So it's really cool. But I wouldn't have gotten there if I didn't get past the social anxiety. So if you're in a new city or you're planning on going to a new city, as much as doing things by yourself is very anxiety inducing, you just have to like rip off the band-aid. You have to start doing things by yourself, and eventually you'll realize that you're not as bad as you thought you were. So yeah, when I first moved here, it felt like a rug had been pulled from under me, but eventually I got my footing here. I really enjoy the city. I feel like there's pros and cons to any city. It's weird because I can see what other people say about like really not liking Austin, because like I have friends that have just moved here. My friend Riley, she just moved here I think like 6 to 8 months ago, and she has like pros and cons here too. And so does my friend Caroline. And I can see that. I grew up in Texas, so Austin is so cool to me because I'm like, I grew up in like a small little town in Texas. It wasn't Austin. And so being in Austin, I'm like, there's so much to do. There was nothing to do in the town that I grew up in high school. So I feel like I appreciate it a little bit more. But I know if you like grew up in California, it's like, where are the mountains? Where's the beaches? Where's the outdoors scene? I can understand missing that. I also am drinking a Bloom. I just got this energy drink. This is not sponsored. I just got this at Target because I wanted to try it. I saw everyone talking about it on TikTok, and I think I rated it either a 6 or a 7 out of 10. I did it on TikTok. I don't know. A little ASMR for you, but it's actually pretty good. Okay, so those are my tips when you're moving to a new city. Bumble BFF. I haven't done that since I moved here, but when I used to live here, I did Bumble BFF. You can actually meet some great people on there because it's just people that are wanting to make friends. So it's not like a fear of rejection, where I understand me DMing girls is kind of a little bit scary because it's like you have that like, oh, what if they don't respond? What if they don't respond and then I see them in person and then it's weird? Like there is that fear of rejection, but people on Bumble BFF are literally there to make friends. They're there because they want to expand their circle, make new friends, make new connections, have people to go to new places with. So I would try Bumble BFF. They have it in every city, and I think that's a great way to make friends. And yeah, so I would try that. My sister does that, and she has made such great girlfriends from that, and I just feel like it's a great way to make friends. So if you're in a new city, I would try Bumble BFF, try putting yourself out there, DMing girls, go to like workout classes that you know will have like people your age. Like Pilates is so popular for like girls in their 20s. I've met such like amazing cute girls in my Pilates class. There's workout classes. If you're not into workout, go sit at a coffee shop to work out of. Like go places and put yourself out there. Like the things that you enjoy doing, if you go and do them by yourself, you will probably find people that also enjoy doing that, and maybe you're by themselves and you can talk to them. And it's really just breaking that barrier of talking to people for the first time and not feeling like a creep, because I feel like when I used to do that, I'm like, I'm literally so creepy. But it's so simple to just be like, oh my gosh, I love your top, where is it from? It starts the conversation, and then you can, you know, be like, oh my gosh, like, do you live in Austin? Whatever. If you can really make friends so naturally. It is hard though. It is hard, especially in like such a social media time, but there is ways to actually make friends in like real life, you know? Now I want to move into a story. This is a story I have been hesitant to talk about because when I first moved to Austin, something happened and it felt like a big deal when it happened, but now so much time has passed, and also like you'll see. It's just the craziest thing that happened. And of course, like right when I moved here, this is what made me feel like the rug had been pulled from under me. So literally the first like week that I moved into my apartment, I was walking down my hall and I see a familiar face. I'm walking down like the hallway to my apartment. I have Bentley. I think Bentley was staying at my sister's, and this is the first day that I was bringing him. So I was already kind of like frantic because Bentley is a little bit of a barker when he sees other dogs. And so I was like, okay, I have to make good first impressions. I don't want people to be like, oh, that's the girl with the yappy dog. So I was kind of nervous. I'm walking down the hall. I have Bentley in one hand. I have a bunch of shit in the other. And I look up and I see none other than my ex-boyfriend's brother. And I kind of like, tilt my head and I'm like, hi. And he's like, hi, and I'm like, okay, well, that was weird. Like, he just said hi. Like, it wasn't like, that is hello. And he gets a little bit closer and his jaw drops. And he was like, what? Because I haven't seen this man in years. Like, this is an ex-boyfriend. Me and him broke up like years prior. And so he's like, what? And then I was like, do you live here? And he's like, yeah, do you? And I was like, yeah, I just moved in. And he goes, wait, what unit are you? And I point to my door. And then he says, that's my door. And it's completely across the hall. Like, if I looked out of my peephole, it was his door. So it was him, and I saw his wife. So I met his wife for the first time. And it really felt like, what did I just do? I just moved away from my boyfriend. I'm doing long distance now. And now I'm living across the hall from my ex-boyfriend's brother. Like, how is this going to play out? I do not want to be constantly seeing my ex-boyfriend. And just imagine you're in a new city. You're by yourself. You don't really have a lot of friends. I'm just always sitting in my apartment, working, watching TV. And you just are constantly hearing your ex-boyfriend down the hall. Like, I would hear his voice. I would hear him laughing down the hall. And I'm like, this is my personal hell. I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. And it's not like I have like bad blood or anything. It's just like, who wants to be constantly hearing their ex-boyfriend while they're in the comfort of their own home? It was so crazy. And it was a lot crazier at the time. Like, I was like, what am I gonna do? This is not what I wanted when I moved here. This is not the life I wanted to live. I have moved on. And so it was like really hard for me when I first moved here. And weirdly enough, me and his brother's wife, so his sister-in-law, were like really close friends now. I love her. She is like one of my closest friends in Austin. And so that was also hard, like navigating that, because she lived across the hall. She's like, I don't want you to feel uncomfortable. And so I feel like at first I was just like, oh yeah. And then I finally let her in, and she's one of my favorite people. And it's just like weird. It's weird how the world works. People, when I would tell them, would not believe me. I called my friends, like, you won't believe who I ran into across the hall. He lives across the hall. And no one believed me. They're like, what? I also lived in I think it was 40 story building. So there was a lot of units. But across the hall was absolutely crazy. I'm like, who did I hurt in a past life? Like, this is karma. This is karma in some way. And yeah, it's funny to think about now because life has changed so much. Things just happen, and it's just really funny how like things work. But that was really hard when I first moved here. If you guys have any stories like that where it's like, why is this weird coincidence happening? Please tell me, because I really feel like I'm the only person that's ever lived that. And I feel like I could make a movie out of that story. Like, that doesn't feel like real life. And most people that I tell now don't believe me. Now I want to dive into what I like and I don't like about Austin, kind of the things that I would recommend if you're visiting, what I would recommend if you live here, my favorite spots, and I also put my eat spots. Wrote it down because I can't remember all these things, but I wrote down a lot of stuff because I love Austin. I feel like Austin feels like home. Like, I couldn't imagine myself living anywhere else. And I know people have mixed things to say about the city. I know a lot of people that grew up in Austin hate that influencers and people from LA are coming and it's not the same. I love it. And I grew up in Texas. I think that it's like a melting pot of people. There's so many experiences here. I know there is an influencer scene here, just like there is in a lot of other places, but I love that it still feels like just like a home city, but there is content creators. I like that. I think that there's like a sense of community here, and I love all the influencers here. Every influencer that I've met here, for the most part, there's a few that I wouldn't recommend to a friend, but most of the influencers that I've met here, like I would call them a friend. I think that they are great people. It's just people here that enjoy making content, enjoy content creation, but they are normal people. And so I really appreciate that about this city. So I love Austin. Austin is always a place that has always felt like home, and I just get like cozy when I come back here. I feel like living in a city that you feel excited to come home to is so beneficial for your life. I feel like there's been certain places that I've lived where I'm like, I don't really want to come home after vacation. I get excited. Like, obviously I love being on vacation, but I get excited to be home because I love the city that I live in. And I think that's very crucial. Being an adult is find a city that feels like home. The people feel like home, the things to do, like find that city and move there on a whim. Do it. Life is short. Okay, now we can dive into my Austin faves. So first, we're going to talk about my Pilates studio. AM Radio is the best Pilates ever. It is woman owned, founded, all of that. She does classic Pilates on reformer, tower, and mat. She also got new machines that I haven't gone back in maybe like 2 weeks. I'm struggling. I've been doing not good on my workout routine because I was on my period. It doesn't matter. But it's my favorite Pilates studio. It's on Lamar, closer to downtown. They have just the best instructors, the best like people that actually go there, like the actual people. It's like, it just feels like a homey place. The equipment is so aesthetically pleasing. There's natural light. Their workout clothes are so good. I just think that AM Radio is such an underrated Pilates studio in Austin. So if you are looking for a new Pilates space in Austin, or you're visiting and you want to try Pilates, go there. Like, it's so good. There's a juice spot right next door, like a little juice bar, and I just love it. I just love it. So I would recommend that. Another favorite thing is walk around Lady Bird Lake. Lady Bird Lake runs through the city pretty much, like right outside of downtown. And I just think that's such a like great spot. The trails, you can like walk across the bridge, and I just think it's a really nice place to walk. I like that you can get from like downtown to like the Barton Creek, like Zilker area. You'll be walking. You could also bird, but I just love how walkable this city is. And yeah, that's like my favorite thing. I love walking. I'm paranoid, so I rarely do it by myself, but with people, I do like walking. We'll dive into my paranoia in one of these episodes because it's bad and it just gets worse with age. Next is Congress. I know a lot of people think that Congress is overrated. I don't. I think Congress is literally so fun. There's fun food spots. There's still old school, like thrifty, eclectic shops there, but then like further down you have the nicer shops like Aloe and Nike and like newer things. So I think you get a good mix there. There's fun places to get drinks, there's fun hotels, there like I've been wanting to go to the South Congress Hotel. They have the cutest photo booth, but every time I've gone, the photo booth has been down, but then I constantly see videos of people going. So I really want to go back and get cute photo booth photos. It just looks so adorable. So that's on my checklist of things to do in Austin, because that looks like the cutest photo booth here that actually looks like really good photos. So I do want to go to that. If you're looking for vintage, antique type of shops, but for home, Room Service Vintage is my favorite. I love them so much. I love the people that work there. They leave you alone. When I go to a thrift store or like a vintage like place and people are constantly up my ass the whole time and like trying to help, I know that's like a strategy for a lot of businesses to like, oh, what do you need? What are you looking for? I will immediately leave the store. They leave you alone unless you have questions. If you have questions, you can go to the front and ask them. I just really like the vibe of the people that work there. And there's always so many things that you can find. Every time I go, I always end up like having to like put some stuff back because I find too much. And I love their home stuff. Literally every ashtray that I own, I don't know if you can see the ashtray back there, but there is one back there. Every ashtray that I own is from Room Service Vintage. I have so many cups. I found like a vintage Coca-Cola cup from there. I have soup mugs and vases, and like I just always find something that I like, and it's my favorite place to go. I go probably like once a month because I like want there to be like filtered new stuff, but I think it's absolutely worth. I don't even think it has that much hype around it. I don't like, none of my friends, every time I talk about it, they're like, oh, I've never been. I just think it's really amazing. So yeah, that's like one of probably my favorite thrifts in Austin. But if you're looking for clothes, Texas Thrift is like right off the highway. It's a little bit more north, but they have like such a big selection of things. I don't really like going to thrift stores where it feels barren and there's like not enough things on the shelf. Like I want to sift if I'm thrifting, and this one you sift. I went with my friend Taylor when she was in town for the first time, and she taught me how to thrift, so I feel like I'm better at thrifting now. But we started in the little boys section and we looked at the t-shirts. You just have to look in the little boy section and look at like large, extra large, and you can find the perfect little baby tees. So I love that. They have like a really good like lingerie, like slip dress section. And yeah, it was a little overwhelming in there. Like I feel like it's kind of, there's always a lot of people, but if you're in the mood to sift, that is a really good place that you can find some gems. So Texas Thrift, we love her. Next, what else? Retro boats. Retro boat ATX I've worked with in the past, and I think that no one else talks about it, and I don't get how there's not more hype around it. They are the cutest little like 2-seat to 4-seater retro boats. They look like vintage. I've ridden on the pink one. They have blue, red, like this baby yellow color. They have such cute retro boats. And I think that it's the perfect little outing if it's good weather during the day. Like you can go out there with some friends, tan. The boat only goes up to like don't quote me on this, 15 to 20 miles per hour. Like it's like a nice little breeze. Obviously right now I'm more so like a sunset cruise. So going at sunset, like a cute date night, you can bring food, you could bring wine. I just think that it's so cute, and I think that more people need to know about it. It is literally the cutest thing ever. You go on for an hour and a half, and it's the perfect amount of time. It's on Lady Bird Lake. It's just like amazing. It's on, there's a coffee shop right there too. It's like right on the perch, it's called. And so you can get like coffee and snacks before you go on. I just think that they're so good, and I think that they need more hype around them, because once people start learning about them, I think that everyone, like, they're gonna constantly be booked. Next is called The Pitch. The Pitch is pickleball, and this one is in North Austin too, but I loved the vibe. It has like a few outdoor courts that you can reserve, and they also have like a little outdoor section where you can get drinks. They have a bunch of like restaurants and stuff like that. I just thought the vibe of it was really cute. I feel like going with a friend group would be really fun, because you can rent out a court, cycle out the people that are playing. You know, some people could be getting food and drinking, and I think there was like maybe a soccer field. There was something else there. So I just think it's like a fun activity place to do with your friends, and I just went with my boyfriend and it was still really fun. But yeah, that I really like the Perch. Then I would say Bee Cave, and this one's just like random. I love running errands in Bee Cave. Bee Cave is like a little town outside of Austin. It's like 15 to 20 minutes outside of the city, and it is where the bougie moms live. It is definitely like a nice spot in Austin, very like residential, but I feel so safe over there, and I feel like just like a little bougie mom walking around Whole Foods. So if I really want to like have a good errand day where I know that I'm going to enjoy my experience, everything's going to be really nice, I will go to the Bee Cave, Target, and Whole Foods and get gas there, because I just feel like safe there. And yeah, I love Bee Cave. If you are feeling like you want to be in a little Bubble for just like a day to run errands. Bee Cave. I know that's really random, but I love running errands there. Then for drinks, I need to really figure out drinks because when I first moved here, I didn't drink for a year. And so this year I have been trying things out, but there hasn't been a lot of bars that I'm like, oh, I have to recommend that. But P6 I really liked. I went to an event there, so I haven't gone during actual like business hours, but the vibe there is so good. I always hear people talking about it. I think going there at sunset and getting drinks, it's like a rooftop bar at the Line Hotel. It is so cute and so like aesthetic. I don't know, I love aesthetic places, but there's a few places that I do want to try and I want to check out the vibe, so I will get back to you on that. I just haven't drank much here. I'm not a big drinker, so like I go out from time to time, but I'm kind of a grandma, so I definitely need to try new like rooftop bars downtown and little like cocktail lounges, because that's definitely way more my vibe than like a West 6th Street. But yeah. Okay, now we'll move on to eats. So for eats, we're gonna kind of speed run this because I feel like I'm just talking too much. Okay, so eats. Rockstar Bagels. Rockstar Bagels has the best bagels I think I've ever had. Like I've had bagels in New York, I've had bagels in LA, I've had bagels literally everywhere. Rockstar Bagels takes the cake for me. They have such good bagels. They have a vegan cream cheese. So if you like cream cheese, I'm not a big cream cheese girl. They have hummus. So I put hummus on my bagel instead of cream cheese. This is the order. If you want to try my personal order, I get the everything bagel, extra toasted scooped. I know people get scooped because they don't want it to be as carb heavy. I just like my bagel being like crispy, crunchy, and I want all the filling to fill. So I get it scooped, extra crispy. Then you get hummus, spinach, tomatoes, pickled jalapenos, salt and pepper, hot sauce. The hot sauce they use is Valentina, which is the best hot sauce for bagels in my opinion. So that is the order. Try it. Get back to me. Let me know if you like it. I think it's the best order ever. Also, if you're gluten-free, my friend Taylor and Emily both have tried their gluten-free bagels and said they were really good. Revolution Vegan. If you want a spot that has like food trucks and just like a cute vibe, there's a lot of food trucks. Revolution Vegan, I have loved. Revolution Vegan Kitchen, I have loved since I have lived here last. Like when I was 18, I found it. Their mozzarella sticks are really good. Their buffalo chicken wrap is amazing. It is a little food truck. The little grounds, sometimes they have like, you know, little concerts there, and there's a little playground if you have kids. It's very cute, and yeah, I really like that. That's in South Austin. Then this one, a lot of people are probably going to say it's overrated. Chewy's is my favorite restaurant in the whole wide world. You can get so much food there. It's so inexpensive. I literally will get a taco plate and pay $12. Chips and salsa is literally on the house. I'm sorry, the margaritas. I just love Chewy's. Like, Chewy's sponsor me. I would work with Chewy's every single day. I think Chewy's is so good. I heard that they're getting bought out by Olive Garden, and I hope nothing changes with Chewy's because that's my favorite restaurant. But I think that if you have never tried Tex-Mex before and you're visiting Texas, Chewy's is what you need to start with. It's the best Tex-Mex ever. Oh, I can't. Okay. Let me take it down a notch. I love Chewy's. Like, all my friends know that I'm obsessed with Chewy's. Okay, next is Love Supreme. Love Supreme is a pizza spot on the east side. The vibes are immaculate. They have vegan cheese. They have regular stuff. They have chicken. They have, like, so much amazing things. I love their pizza so much. I love the vibe. Their drinks are amazing. They have a little outdoor patio with, like, string lights. It's so freaking cute. Love Supreme if you need a good pizza spot. Merit, I've heard the coffee's really good. I'm not a coffee drinker. Their matcha is phenomenal. It's like the perfect amount of sweetness. I get a vanilla matcha, perfect amount of sweetness, so creamy, perfect green color. Yes. Then Home Slice. If you're looking for a sub, I know they have like Italian subs. They have hot Italian subs, so it's like more meatballs, but then they have cold ones where it's like deli meat. I get the veggie sub, so it has like so many packed veggies in it. So it's like shredded lettuce, peppers, and tomatoes. I know that it comes with cheese. I just ask for no cheese because I'm vegan, but it is so good. It is so good, and I get chips, and I put the chips inside of it. I think their subs are like one of the best subs in Austin. And then the last is Swedish Hill. Now it's called Little Swedish. Like they have like another one, but I think the vibes there are really cute. The food is like nothing special, but it is like a cute kind of like cafe style food, which I feel like Austin doesn't have a lot of. Austin has a lot of barbecue, but they don't have a lot of like cafe type of food, if that makes sense. And I think this is so nice. The area, it's on 6th Street, but like way far down. The area is so cute, super Instagrammable if you want to take like cute photos. I really like Swedish Hill. I'm excited for like the regular Swedish Hill to come back. I don't know when it's coming back, but for the time being they have Little Swedish, which is like a small one that's like a few doors down. Okay, now we're going to talk about my not so faves. These are the places in Austin that I would take someone that I hate. And that may be harsh, but these are the places. 1, Rainy Street. I feel bad for the people that have bachelorette parties here and they look up what to do in Austin and Rainy Street pops up, because Rainy Street is just construction now. It is construction. I lived on Rainy Street for a year because I thought it was going to be like how it was when I was in college, and I was like, I've always wanted to live on Rainy. I was sadly mistaken. The construction has ruined it. All the good bars are gone. Container Bar, I loved that bar in college, gone. So Rainy Street, I would take someone there that I hate. Barton Springs Pool. This may be a controversial take, but I think it's really gross. It's really muddy. There's just moss everywhere. When you get in the pool, it's like I don't know, it like makes my skin crawl. Like I feel dirty, and I know it's a natural spring pool, so like what do you expect, Daniella? But like I don't know, it's not my vibe. You have to lay in the grass, in the muddy, hilly grass. I've only been once since I've been back. I went when I was like in college, but I've only been once since I moved back last summer. So maybe I didn't give it a fair shot. I only went with a friend. I didn't go with a group, but I didn't really like it. It wasn't my cup of tea. Next is paddleboarding on Lady Bird Lake. Paddleboarding on Lady Bird Lake, you will leave with a rash. You will leave with a lovely little rash. I think going on Lady Bird Lake on like a little boat or like maybe a canoe, a kayak, sure. If your feet are in the water, there have been so many bodies found in that lake. I'm going to leave it at that, but you're going to be putting your feet in dead body water, and you leave with a rash. Sometimes they will come out and say, don't bring your dogs near the lake, because there's been times where the dogs die from being around the lake. So I'm like, if a dog can lick up some water and die, do I want any of my orifices close to that water? No. So I don't particularly like that. I know a lot of people like paddleboarding there. I think if you do paddleboard in Austin, go more towards Lake Austin. It's like a little bit more open. It feels a little bit cleaner, but not Lady Bird Lake because it's kind of like closed off. Next is Polvo's. Polvo's, the food wasn't too bad. I just tried it for the first time. The vibes in there are so weird. The lighting that they chose is like a doctor's office, like that type of lighting. The chairs and tables, it just, for the amount that my group paid, I was like, this would be like we went to a nice restaurant. Like Chewy's is better, and I paid $12 for a plate. I don't get why people like Polvo's. I think the vibe there was really off. I would not go back. I probably would not go back. So sorry, Polvo's. And then lastly is Soho House. Everyone and their mother has a Soho House membership in Austin. It is like $3,000, I think, to get your membership for the year. And I think that it's not worth the price. Unless you live on Congress, I can see that being worth it. But I don't feel like it is worth the $3,000. The pool is always packed. They only have cabanas, so you like around the entire pool, so you can't just like go out unless you have a cabana. And on the weekends, like you would have to get there at 11 a.m. to get a cabana. I just don't get the hype. There's like a little restaurant up there. It's cute. I will say it's cute. It would be cute to go like maybe a few times a year, but I don't understand. I don't understand the hype. I go because my friends have memberships and you can bring 2 people with you when you go. But I I would never pay for that myself. So, sorry, Soho House. But that is everything in Austin. I love it here. There's some things that I don't like about it here, but like most of it is like the 105 degrees here. But that I grew up with. I lived in Dallas, so it's like I'm kind of used to it. I do miss the beach. That was a plus living in LA. I do miss hikes. You can't really hike here. But yeah, Austin is my home, and I feel like it'll be my home for a good minute. It does feel very homey here. So that is the episode. I love you guys so much. All my socials are linked down below. My Instagram, my TikTok, my personal Instagram, my personal TikTok. Go comment, engage, DM me. I literally respond to all my DMs. So if you DM me, I will be there chatting it up. And I love you guys so much. I will see you next Tuesday.